Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Good evening, and welcome to My Spouse is My Best Friend podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Dr. Green, Jason Green.
And welcome. It's Thursday at 7, and we are happy that you are joining us for this segment of My Spouse is My Best Friend. So, do you remember how we came up with My Spouse is My Best Friend?
I think we were sitting around and we were thinking about friendship, thinking about how important it is in a marriage. And we were like, hey, that's a good slogan. And then we were like, well, I wonder if anybody's using that. I think you went off on a tangent and started researching it on the web. And lo and behold, it wasn't being used.
Nope. So we were able to get it trademarked, and here we are for our podcast, and just happy that you guys are joining it with us. So I was, the other day I was just sitting and thinking about our foundations and how we even became best friends. And, we've known each other since middle school and high school, and even when we were not in a relationship, we were still each other's confidant and still best friends, or friends, I should say, back then. And then we just grew to be best friends. And I just figured that's a wonderful thing to have your spouse as your best friend, especially with the history that we have. We've known each other for over half our lives. And here we are many years later with kids and careers.
A lot of kids.
And, a lot of kids. And so I'm enjoying this ride.
Yeah, me too. If you haven't already guessed, today's topic is friendship. And kind of how important it is in a marriage. Now, we've grown to realize how important it is. As you said, that, our relationship started off as friends. I remember it was back in the summer of 1985. I'm just playing. It was like 92. But
That sounds about right.
she was my brother knew her at first, and so they were really good friends. And one summer, my brother went off to go stay with it's my stepbrother. We don't do steps in my family, but he went to spend the summer with his dad, and she was calling for him, and then I picked up the phone, and I was having a lonely summer, and she was having a lonely summer, so we just started talking. And during that summer, we became really good friends over the summer. Nothing more than that. No, there was not that kind of attraction, nothing like that.
Because he had a girlfriend.
Yes, I did have a girlfriend, which happened, we found out later, it was her best friend. We'll get into that later. But we were talking over the phone over the summer, and like I said, it was strictly platonic. We really got to know each other. And even though we were in middle school, that's where the foundation began. And kind of grew from there. And then after the summer, what happened after the summer?
We're going to skip past the summer because if you ask us individually, we have two separate stories. And so all I can say is I had a boyfriend and I did not have a best friend. So we're just going to skip through that, and just say let bygones be bygones, and then move up to where we are now, right? I guess.
Okay. We're skipping things now.
Just gonna skip over, he said, she said.
Yeah, okay. Anywho, we started dating in middle school after that summer, after we respectively broke up with our other people. What was our best friend? And so we dated throughout middle school and dated through halfway through high school. And then kind of went our separate ways after that because, people grow, and we were young then as well, and I was going off to college, and but we always remained friends. And even in our relationship, being that young in middle school and friendship, people say it's puppy love or whatnot, but we really were friends back then. That's how we started, and we just had so much in common. We respected each other. We had a lot of fun together. And to tell you the truth, like sometimes we joke about it, is like, how did we break up? Because we don't remember breaking up. It's kind of grew apart, I guess. And then, like I said, we went to respective lives. So, I went through college. Um, After college, during college, I had my first child and then ended up getting married. She had her children and got married as well. And then, during that time, we learned a lot in those marriages.
Yeah.
Nothing to regret, right? During that time, we didn't speak much. You might have that, occasional, how's he doing, or anything like that. But we respected our spouses at the time,
Yep.
right? Because, we knew that we had that past relationship.
No matter what the rumors said.
No matter what the rumors are. But people still think we were talking throughout, but we weren't. But there did came a time that, she got divorced first, and then I was going through a divorce, and I think she made a comment on Facebook, and I commented back and said, what are you doing? And I think you were saying you were sipping some wine in the backyard or something. I don't know what it was. And I kind of start from there, and during that conversation, we found out that we had both separated from our spouses and kind of rekindled the relationship. And when I say relationship, I'm not talking about the relationship that we had in middle school and high school. It was a relationship of the friendship that we had.
Sure. And
we had a foundation to start on because, we were friends at one point, and we, still kind of, I wouldn't say stay in touch, but we knew what each other doing because we had mutual friends in between us as well. So we knew, kind of what situations were during that time. But all that to be said is during that time, we were, like I said, we weren't thinking about a relationship at the time. Not the time, we weren't thinking about a romantic relationship at the time. We were just really catching up, right?
Right.
Because both of us grew within that time in our other relationships and learned different things and went through different things, became different people. From where we were in middle school and high school, we were running through the rain and jumping in puddles together and playing.
Do that.
And we still do that. But,
yeah.
But stuff like that, we went through some real adult stuff during those times, and both grew in those areas. So we had to relearn each other. During that time, we found out, we were still, basically the same but different. We had wisdom under our belt, and we began to become friends again, right? And
mature
friends. And when I say, a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, y'all were talking and moving towards that direction." We really weren't, because we were talking about the people we were dating at the time, and the situations, the funny situations we were going through with our other people. Talking about anything friends would do. Like I talked to my homegirl, right? Now, those are the kind of things we were talking about, and we had our friendship had fun. We gave each other advice in those areas, and kind of went that route. So it wasn't going that romantic avenue. It was really just creating a bond and becoming friends. Re-becoming friends, and then eventually becoming best friends again.
And do you remember when one night we were having a conversation on the phone? Mind you, we live 250 miles apart. I guess we have to stop and say that. So I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he lived in Houston. So it's not like we were seeing each other every day. We were talking on the phone.
We're talking on the phone.
And I think one night you had said, wouldn't it be funny if you and I got back together? And I was like, no. And we both started laughing. And so neither one of us seen a relationship during that time frame, because we were just friends. We were, like you said, giving each other advice and just kind of being each other's ear. We were both going through situations. And so we just, we growing that friendship.
Mm-hmm. We had things in common at that time too. Like I said, we were both recently divorced. She had her kids. I was a single father at the time. Majority of my kid staying with me. So we had that in common as well. And, commonality brings people together. So so we discussed those things as well. After that, I think I invited you down, or did I come up here? I can't remember. But again, it wasn't anything romantic. We were just, hey, let's hook up. I'm coming down there. Or no, I came down here first.
You did.
I came down here first, and came down here, and we spent the night out together, and just continued our friendship, had fun together, and whatnot.
And mind you, it wasn't a date because we had a third party with us, so it's again just strictly platonic.
Shout out to Kevin. If you see this, he's gonna laugh. But yeah, he became the third wheel because he was my best friend, my male best friend at the time, and she met us out, and he became the third wheel. It's like, Jay, I'm gonna leave y'all to it. Can she take you home? I'm taking you back to his house because I was spending the weekend with him. So we just really talked all night, and it kind of just blossomed from there. After that visit, after seeing each other for so long, because I think we hadn't seen each other in over, probably 7 years, maybe longer than that. Than that time we were just talking about when I came down here, and we hooked up to go out together. And then after we went back, things just started blossoming from there. It's kind of just it's almost like we were best friends one day and woke up and then we were together, because the transition, it was just like slowly transition. I started having less interest in the people I was talking to and dating, and putting more time into talking with her on the phone. It came to the point because I owned 2 clubs in Houston at the time, and they were nightclubs. And so I'll be walking around with her in my ear, and we would talk the whole night. And then I get home at 3 in the morning, and she's still in my ear. We would just talk like she was with me the whole time. We'd start falling asleep together on the phone.
Like high school.
Like high school. Y'all been there. Falling asleep on the phones. Who's gonna say bye first? You say bye. No, you say bye. Or we both fall asleep. I remember one time, a lot of my friends, or my good friends, used to have a key to my apartment, and they came to woke me up one morning, and I was in the bed asleep with the phone on my chest, and all they saw was her on the phone too. We were both asleep on the phone. They both be up to start making fun of us. But it was little things like that we just really enjoyed talking and being around each other, and became a joy being with each other. And then, one day, and these are 2 different stories too. That's why we have 2 different anniversary dates. I say January 13th, and she says February something, because she didn't realize what I was saying when I said, hey, I can see myself with you.
Yeah, no, back in middle school, he sent me a note saying, will you go with me? Check yes or no. So that is very self-explanatory, but I can see myself with you. I had no idea what that meant. I thought maybe he was just talking out loud. So yeah, we do have 2 different start dates for our mature relationship.
So 3 weeks later, we solidified that, hey, we're going to be exclusive. I'll get rid of my people, we'll call them at the time. I like, if I was talking from back then, I'd say my bench. But so she was elevated off the bench and became my number one. And the other ones had to, be fired. But during that time, it was funny when we talked about even we got together. We were still just best friends, right? And one thing we weren't worried about was, as being best friends, what if it didn't work out, right? We cultivated this friendship. We poured our heart into this friendship. We told each other everything. And when I say everything, I mean to the rooter, to the tutor, to the everything. When I say everything,
where the bones are buried.
There was all the bones and skeletons were out the closet. So that was really refreshing too. As you know, some of y'all have best girlfriends or best friends, whatnot, that you would confide in, that you would never tell anybody else that. I had that with her, and I cherished that with her, and I also knew me, but I knew that what I was feeling was real, and was I really willing to take that risk? Her being my best friend, being able to talk to, I had joy in her. We had fun together. I could tell her anything. I didn't have to worry about, backlash or have to worry about, judgment. But it was real conversations, right? If I came to her about something, she can say, hey, Jay, well, you should handle it that way. Or, hey, Jay, give me that constructive criticism without any judgment. And I value that, at that point. And the same goes with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was it worth risking all that to get into a romantic relationship? So that was one thing we did have to contemplate before we decided to move forward in those areas. And we had children, right? So we knew that would be a difficult thing to maneuver as well.
Blending families are not easy.
Yeah, blending families are not easy. We'll have a segment on that too.
Absolutely.
That was really fun. But we decided to take the leap because we felt like our friendship was strong enough to survive. And not only that, we knew that we were both, one, equally yoked,
yep.
and two, had the same vision or walk with God. And kind of knew just how the paths were crossed, that, I prayed about it and found out she prayed about it later on as well. And, God gave us the, I guess, okay, or confirmation, to put it that way. Confirmation, and confirmation to other people, too. So we decided to take that leap, and I think that's the best leap I've ever made in my life. Because I did marry my best friend, right? And we're still best friends today, almost going 11 years later. Oh my God. It feels like it was yesterday sometimes, but 11 years later, I can still say this is my best friend. I can still tell her things that I could tell my best friend, right? Or I could be out somewhere and long for her because I'm out somewhere else and I don't have her to tell, something funny I saw or something intimate or something, you tell your best friends or wish they were there. And I still get those feelings, right? So it's still refreshing to have that relationship with my spouse and my best friend. Yeah, there's a different level to it. We still have to worry about the household, we have to worry about bills, we have to worry about the kids, we got to worry about all that. But we always say God first, friendship second, everything else is, hey, we'll move it around together. As man and wife and as friends. Sometimes you'll catch us, saying, and people look at us like we're crazy, but I'm like, you got your friend hat on right now? Because I need to talk to her as a friend and take the wife out of it at the time. And that might sound kind of, I guess, weird or out of sorts to some of y'all, saying when I say take the wife out of it. And what I mean by that is sometimes I need a friend to be able to talk to and say, hey, if I was talking to you as my friend, what kind of advice would you give me, right? Not, don't take an account of, what goes around in the house or whatnot, but I need advice as a friend, and this is what's happening. It's easy to do that because, I'm not out there doing dirt or anything, because most of the stuff I come with is, just life stuff or anything like that, same with her. So sometimes we'll just say, hey, I need your friend hat on right now. To tell me how to handle the situation, not of my husband, but as a friend, what would you tell me?
And I think that's more or less of taking the emotion out of the conversation and listening with open eyes and opening ears to the situation and getting down to the root cause of whatever it is, and then or providing an ear or just listening for feedback for him. And so I think when I get that, hey, when you take the wife hat off, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to see if he needs feedback or, again, just not reacting, but just being that helpmate that he needs.
And it's good to have that on both fronts, right? And I know y'all can relate. Sometimes you hold back telling your spouse something because you're afraid how they're going to react, right? Because they are your wife. Or you hold back from telling them something because You don't know how they're going to feel about you after you tell them, what you have to tell them or what you were thinking, or, there's all those nuances. But think about how free it would be if you could, right? If you could go to your wife or your husband and tell them anything, and not have to worry about being ridiculed or being judged or being anything, but just be supportive and being an active listener at that point. That is so valuable, right? And I think that's where a lot of couples deviate or start straying, or need that, hey, I need to go out with my friends kind of thing, because one, you don't have a friend at home, and I can't confide in my husband, I can't confide in my wife because I'm gonna be judged, or it might end up in an argument because the emotions are all in it. So I have to go find that somewhere else, right? Think about what I just said. I have to go find that somewhere else. There's something wrong with that. If I can't find it at home, home should be your peaceful face, and my home should be my wife. My church should be my wife, as the Bible explicitly says. And that's what I have in my friendship, and that's why I feel like it's very important to, in a relationship, and especially in my relationship, to have a solid friendship with my spouse, because I have that outlet and I don't have to go nowhere else. I can choose to. I can choose to get a second opinion, right? It's like my doctor. But I have my primary doctor right here that I can talk to and come to, and I don't have to go out and seek that somewhere else. It's at home already.
Yeah, and I say to, if you feel like that you're not having those conversations, or if you feel like your spouse is not coming to you, then I would say let's take a deep dive internally and figure out, are we creating a safe space for our spouse to internalize what's going on? How are we reacting in the past? How did we react in the past when they brought certain things to us? So sometimes we have to, unfortunately, especially as women, because we're emotional creatures, sometimes we have to take a step back and say, how did I react in the past? Did I create that safe space? Does my husband know that I can be that confidant? I can be that ear for him to reach out to me and let me know exactly what's on his mind. And we'll talk about different ways that you can do that, in different scenarios that you can do that in other discussions.
And it's a paradigm shift if you're not already there. You might be halfway there, you might be 25% there, you might not just be there at all. But it is a paradigm shift in your thinking. Yeah. As she pointed out, it's hard to revert back and think about, hey, am I being that active listener? Am I being that nagging wife or nagging husband? Normally it's a nagging wife thing that they say, but I had to put on equal terms. But am I creating that safe space to where my husband can come and talk to me and feels comfortable doing that? Am I, as a husband, being active listening to my wife and hearing her when she comes to me, and caring and empathizing with what she goes, even though we know that they're more emotional than we are. Are we empathizing? Are we taking our feelings out as a man, and empathizing and putting ourselves in their shoes and trying to feel what they're trying to tell her, and actively listening to her? Because as a man, we might handle the whole situation different, right? We always, I read a book, I think it's by, was it Rick Warren? We talk about the blue sunglasses and pink sunglasses, the lenses that we see things, and the blue hearing aid and the pink hearing aid that we wear. And the whole premise is that we, as men, we have our blue sunglasses on, and they have their pink sunglasses on, and we see things differently through different lenses. Yeah. And sometimes we have to recognize that, and when you're aware of that, it's easier to empathize with where she's coming from, because her thoughts are not my thoughts, and I'm gonna think different where she is, and that's where the friendship comes in. Mm-hmm. And the friendship comes in is being supportive of what she's saying, and being open to what she's saying, and being able to meet her somewhere, or just if she just needs an ear to be there so that she can come to me and express what she's feeling as well.
Yep, and I think just the building of that foundation of that friendship starts with being open and being honest, and learning your spouse. And it's going to take work. But just like building a house, you want a strong foundation. I don't care how strong the walls are, how tight the windows are. If you don't have that strong foundation, anything that hit that unit, the unit will crumble. And so it's important to build that foundation. So whether you're dating, whether you're engaged, newly married, or been married for 60 years. I mean, we've counseled several couples that's been married for 30 plus years, and this was foreign to them. So they had to, pull down the Band-Aid or peel off the Band-Aids one at a time to peel back to get to that foundational level of how do we build that friendship so we can build on our relationship, so we can build on our marriage.
And it's funny you say Band-Aids because a lot of couples that we do counsel, that's exactly what it is. I mean, they've been patching stuff up for so long. It's just a Band-Aid after a Band-Aid after a Band-Aid, and the core wound has never been attended to. And it always comes down to communication, friendship, and being able to connect on that level. So, I mean, I challenge you to look, if you're not there, I challenge you as a husband and I challenge you as a wife to think, do I give that space to my wife? Do I give that space to my husband? And for her to trust me, and for him to trust me, to come to me, tell me something, and I don't react as a wife, or I don't react as, just react, right? Do I give the husband a way to come to me, and he can talk to me in a way he could talk to his male friends? Or same thing goes with my wife as well. But so I would just challenge you to think about that. Are you creating that? And it's hard, especially if you're not already there, to be mindful and start building that trust that it's not going to end up in an argument, right? When he comes to me or when she comes to me, but we talk through it as friends, and we talk through it as husband and wife, and we come to a happy medium. If it's a conflict between me and her or whatnot, but it's something about outside of that I'm there to listen. You can tell me anything, and I'm gonna empathize with you, and I'm gonna be real with you too, right? So I just challenge you to think about where you're at in your relationship and in your friendship, and ask yourself, what can I tell my husband anything? Can I tell my wife anything? And how? And if not, how do we get there? How do we garner the trust in each other to feel comfortable, to where I don't have to go run to my girlfriends on the phone to tell them, this and this and this, and I don't have to run to my homeboys to tell them this and this and this, but you have all that at home in your wife.
And I'd say if you are building that foundation, if you've built that foundation, and if you have ways of different strategies or any books that you've read or any retreats or conference, I would ask that you add that in the comments below, just to help out those that are trying to start over or start building that foundation. So we encourage you to share your words of wisdom with others.
Yep. And so, one thing that we do to exercise that and make sure that we do have that open line of communication is, again, you can't get away from being husband and wives, right? And you can't get away from life. You can't get away from kids. But you have to continue to cultivate your friendship. So there are some ways that you can do that. Me and my wife, we decided to do Wind Down Wednesdays. Today's Wednesday, so we'll be doing it tonight.
Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Anyways, well, we have Winds Down Wednesdays. And it's really it gives us time to take away and take about an hour and a half, 2 hours together. That's dedicated, that we don't miss. That's dedicated to each other. We take off the boss hat. We take off the wife and husband hat. We just take that time to sit down, enjoy each other, and just talk. Just talk about anything that's went on through the day, anything that's went on through the week, what Susie did at work, what Bob did at work, what with just anything, anything we talk about, and we take that wife and husband hat off. And anything I tell her, even if it's a grievance with her, I'll talk to her like I'm talking to a friend, and it'll be about her. I was like, because like this heifer here, she did this and this and this, and that really annoyed me. And then she'll say what she has to say, but we're talking as friends. But we're not reacting. It's a safe space for me and her to talk, and even if we have grievances with each other, we have agreed and we've made that agreement that we're not going to get mad, we're not going to judge, and we're going to listen as I was talking to a friend, even though it might be about me, but it gives it. You have to try it. It's funny in its own sense, but it's also refreshing to know that we have that space and we have that time to say, hey, we're taking that off, and we're gonna talk. We're not gonna get mad. We're not gonna judge. This 2 hours is just about me and you. Right. And sometimes it's not it'd be a problem if every Wednesday we had something to talk about with each other. I mean, as far as about each other or some kind of conflict, we don't. So we just find ourselves playing games, talking, doing puzzles, listening to music, sipping on some different kind of wines, and just enjoying each other and just talking. And that's what most of the sessions, or most of our Wind Down Wednesdays come to be, because there might not be any conflict or anything to talk about, but then we just enjoy each other. We just take that time to really cultivate our friendship and make sure that remains intact, and that we're in line, and that we're going this way and not moving this way, right?
Yeah, so I think the sessions, you could be WIND, Wind Down Wednesday, or it could be WINE, my favorite, Wind Down Wednesday. So you can select which one that you choose.
Yeah. So, in short summary, that's why we feel that my spouse, my best friend, is needed, and that's why we decided to start this podcast. So this is our very first one. We did a slight introduction last week. This is our first real one. We're still getting used to it, so we'll get better as time goes. But we just want to share our joy in our marriage with people, because people ask us, it seems like y'all never argue, or y'all just seem so happy. How? First of all, God. Mm-hmm. Second of all, we're great friends. We're really good friends, and we respect each other as in a husband and wife capacity, but also in a friendship capacity. We remember that and we value that in our marriage. So that's why we decided to, could put our message out there. Okay. And so during our podcast, we'll have different speakers come in and talk about different topics. And they all have to do with some kind of friendship, or have to or the relationship.
And if there's a topic or subject that you would like for us to discuss or hear about, again, add that into the comment section.
Yeah,
we like to hear from you.
Yeah. So we look forward to more to come.
I'm excited.
We hope that you are listening for our next one. We know this one wasn't perfect, but we're imperfect people. We'll be the first ones to admit it. And so we're going to be real, even if we mess up sometimes.
With the light humor.
With light humor. But I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Make sure you hit like or subscribe. Let us know of any topics that you may have. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Absolutely. Till next week, Thursday at 7.